Janae. So the Employment Training Panel is a state agency that provides funding assistance to employers in California who are training their existing workers or newly hired individuals. I'm going to focus today on our COVID-19 pilot and the paid family leave small business grant program. These are two new initiatives in response, obviously, to the pandemic. Next slide, please. So we have a mix of types of contractors, multiple employer contract partners who provide assistance to very small employers who still need to do training but can't necessarily administer an ETP contract on their own. So we have what we call MECs out there that can help with training for very small to medium-sized businesses. Our application process assistance and interactive orientation is online. I provide these live orientations once a month to give an overview of the program and the process for applying for the funds. And the link is here to do that, as well as you can call me directly and I can set something up for you, or if you have any general questions about ETP. Our current funding year, July 1, started with about 80 million in training funds overall. Normally we would have over 100 million, but this year because of COVID, we have been impacted slightly, but we still have assistance available for employers. Next slide. So trainees can be new and existing full-time workers, unemployed individuals, apprenticeship and journey workers, small business owners. And the training is employer customized job skills training, excluding legally mandated training such as sexual harassment, labor law, or OSHA. There are some exceptions to that. We do offer flexible delivery methods and provider choices for the employer. You know better than we do how to train your workers and what those skills gaps are that you need and who might be able to provide the best training assistance for that. We do have a post-training employment retention period required, normally 90 days past the end of all training. And we do require what we call an in-kind contribution, which is just basically a math calculation on how much training is going to be delivered, how many trainees, and the in-kind contribution is basically, for an employer, the wages that you would be paying for an employee while they're being trained. Next slide, please. So to get to the COVID-19 response plan, it was enacted in March and extended through the end of this year. And it is for our existing contractors to allow them flexibilities to their contracts to mitigate the effects of COVID-19 impacts. If they've had to stop training, they've had to furlough workers, et cetera. We have extended the incidental placement. We've allowed more safety training flexibility, furloughed worker retention flexibility, meaning that if the furloughed worker is gone more than 90 days past the end of training, we will not penalize the employer. And then more importantly and most focused is our COVID rapid reemployment and retraining pilot, which next slide, please. So this is a very focused initiative that is focused on healthcare, the food supply chain industries, and industries critical to reopening the economy during the pandemic. And you can see we use what's called a NAICS code to identify employers that are eligible for this particular pilot. If you're not aware of what your NAICS code is, you can contact me and I can help assist finding what your next code is. But basically, these are industries that are in the healthcare and food supply chain, not necessarily priority industries for us during normal times or for our core program, but are essential during these pandemic times. Next slide, please. So the focus on the pilot will be new hire and job creation. So this is not for training for existing workers, but it is, you are able to use it for backfilling reemployment and furlough impacted workers. So if you have had to furlough or lay off workers and some of them don't come back and you need to hire new employees to take their place, this is what this particular program would help you do. The reimbursement is very easy, not similar to our core program where it's based on a number of hours of training and training types of training, etc. This is a flat fee reimbursement of $2,000 per trainee for a minimum of 4 hours of job skills training, and the maximum flexibility for training topics and delivery methods. So we're calling this, rather than having you enumerate different types of training and different training topics, you just come in and apply and say that you're going to be doing a COVID bundle. And there's no tracking of training hours, really. It's just a basic $2,000 per trainee. And then the wage requirement for this is $17.50 per hour. We do allow you to use $2.50 of employer paid benefits, dental, health, and vision as part of that calculated wage. So that if you're close to the $17.50, but not quite making it, you can use up to $2.50 with benefits that you're actually paying to your employees. We do have a modified post-training retention requirement. Rather than 35 hours a week of employment, it is now, for this pilot, 20 hours per week. Pilot projects are capped at $200,000 and may be held concurrently with a core program contract, which we don't normally do as well. So we're trying to give as much flexibility to employers out there to use our core program for funding of training that they would normally do. This, of course, is for those focused industries and focused training around COVID. Next slide, please. The other initiative we have going right now is the Paid Family Leave Small Business Grant. This is a program administered by EDD, which allows California workers to take paid leave to bond with a new child or to care for a seriously ill family member. And beginning July 1, it was expanded from 6 to 8 weeks. And the current proposed budget also expands the 12-week non-paid protected leave to all businesses, regardless of business size. So small business is going to be more impacted by this Paid Family Leave Act. And for more information on the EDD website, you can find the information here at this link regarding how to apply for the leave. And that is something that the employee does in concurrence with the employer. Next slide, please. So we have been designated to administer $1 million in state general fund dollars to support this. And the principal impacts on the employer are going to be that you can train and upskill existing workers to cover the duties of the employees on PFL. And then you can hire and train additional workers if need be. And it's just a flat $500, next slide, please. It's a $500 payment to the employer to cover the costs associated with losing an employee from the PFL. We are going to be awarding 3 entities who will distribute the payments to California Small Business. Grant applications, if an organization is interested in being one of those grantees, grant applications must be submitted by SFP by October 15th. The SFP information can be found on our website at this link. You can also contact me and I can help assist you getting to that link as well. Next slide. So after November 1, any eligible small business may receive $500 per employee using the PFL. So this payment, as I said, is just to help cover any of the costs of hiring and training other employees, taking over the duties of those out on the PFL. The funds are paid by the PFL small business grant awardees, and the contact information for the awardees will be posted on the ETP website once they are awarded. And if you have questions about this as a small employer, please contact me directly and I'll be glad to answer any questions that you might have on this. Next slide. And this is my contact information. If you're in Southern California, we do have Elsa Wadzinski representing us in that area. And then statewide, our Director of Economic Development, Robert Meyer, is also available to answer any questions.